Crunchbase reports that over 22,000 workers have been laid off as of the end of June. Unfortunately, there is often a bias against employees that were previously laid off, as they were seen as having been the weakest link at their previous role. This is often an unfair and antiquated way of thinking. Hey, and welcome back to my channel. It's been a roller coaster of news this month, hasn't it? I've spent the last few weeks reviewing the state of the labor market coming out of the pandemic and how it's affecting job seekers. But today, we're going to continue our look into the US job economy, but through a different lens, that of a recruiter. For reasons we'll explore in just a moment, the job market is red hot. Companies are creating new positions at a fast, steady pace, and candidates looking for new roles are well positioned to land lucrative opportunities across a wide variety of industries. But unfortunately, this isn't the case across the board. In particular, tech companies such as Twitter, Netflix, Coinbase, and countless more have suddenly found themselves struggling against a potential recession and have had to drastically rethink their spending plans, leading to layoffs and even offer retractions from prospective employees. This isn't great news, obviously, but it does open opportunities that recruiters would be wise to take advantage of. So in this video, we're going to quickly review the current issues the US economy is facing before diving into some ways recruiters can think about leveraging them to work in their favor. But before we get started, as always, please consider like, subscribe, and click that bell. Really means a lot. If you've watched any of my recent videos lately, you'll know that the US economy and labor market are in somewhat precarious positions right now. While many industries that struggled during the pandemic are now flourishing, the opposite effect is now happening to tech companies. They experienced unprecedented growth at the height of the pandemic when most people were stuck at home, but now face financial struggles coming out of it. Not only are people using their services less, resulting in a potentially significant drop in revenue, but major geopolitical events, primarily the invasion of Ukraine by Russia, have put a strain on economies across the world, causing inflation to skyrocket. In order to help slow down the rate of inflation, the US National Reserve has raised their interest rates. As a result, tech companies now have significantly less buying power than they did just months ago. But in order to save money, some have had to curtail hiring operations and lay off a significant number of employees. Some companies have even retracted offers from prospective candidates, many of whom had already accepted them. But subsequently, some companies have been feeling the effects of the so-called Great Resignation, in which employees, even some managers and executives, are leaving their previous roles in search of more convenient work opportunities, especially work-from-home positions. And while remote work is more abundant than ever before, a debate still rages on its long-term effectiveness. Companies such as Apple, Google, and Tesla have come out against fully remote practices, requiring their employees to work on-site some or all of the time. Some find this antiquated. Organizations like Twitter, Airbnb, and Atlassian have taken steps to improve employer freedom and move towards a remote or hybrid work model. If you're interested in going into a bit more detail about any of these events and how they impact job seekers, I recommend going back and watching my previous videos. Let's see how the current job market might actually be beneficial for recruiters and startups. How startups and recruiters can take advantage of layoffs. Obviously, nobody likes mass layoffs, but when faced with them, recruiters should try to make the best of the situation. Crunchbase reports that over 22,000 workers have been laid off as end of June. Unfortunate to be sure, but for recruiters, that represents 22,000 potential new candidates to represent or present to clients. Additionally, burgeoning tech startups should consider tapping this new but temporary talent pool. Why? Many of these employees are highly qualified, potentially having just left a specialized role at another tech company. What makes these candidates particularly special is that they are likely to become active job seekers, if they aren't already. If you're a tech recruiter or have been following my videos here on YouTube, you know that active job seekers in a competitive field such as technology are highly coveted. These candidates are especially valuable as many of them are coming from high-profile companies like Netflix, Twitter, Coinbase, Redfin, Stitch Fix, ClickUp, and PayPal, among others. While once these companies seem like a safe long-term bet, recently fired employees will likely be more open to taking a job at a new startup now that the risk seems to have evened out a bit. But in addition, startups with room to grow will be able to send out more lucrative competitive offers. Salaries for technically inclined roles remain high even at new companies. So in short, the opportunity now exists to get some serious talent in at up-and-coming companies, a rare opportunity to be sure. It won't last forever though, so you'll need to act really quickly. The pros of hiring laid-off employees. Unfortunately, there is often a bias against employees that were previously laid off, as they were seen as having been the weakest link at their previous role. Especially in the wake of the 2020 job losses as a result of the pandemic, this is often an unfair and antiquated way of thinking. Many employees who are laid off were done so not as a result of performance, but rather exterior factors that they have less control over. Coming out of the pandemic, it's important to keep that in mind and not write off any candidates immediately because they were laid off from their previous job. Especially in the case of employees who were laid off from a successful tech company or had their offers retracted or rescinded. These individuals might be especially enthusiastic to quickly join a new team where there is potential for career growth. Working with laid off employees. It isn't always easy to engage with employees who have been recently laid off. Both long-term employees and new hires who are quickly let go will likely be hesitant to jump immediately into a new role and may be wary to interact with a recruiter. It's important that you keep this in mind when you approach laid-off employees. Take your time to foster a relationship, build trust, and establish your authority with them while also making sure you're not wasting their time. Come to them prepared with potential roles that offer a strong, positive company culture and visible room for growth, learning, and even development. The more you can demonstrate the value and longevity of the position, the more open a candidate will be able to consider taking the role. Here, transparency is absolutely key. So are you a startup looking for new employees to fill essential roles? Maybe you're a recently laid off employee looking for a new job. Consider reaching out to a recruiter to help you out. And recruiters, remember to consider the influx of qualified tech talent when filling tech roles. It won't last forever. Do you guys have any thoughts on taking advantage of mass tech layoffs? I love hearing from you too. Make sure you drop down a comment below. If you like this video or want to see more like it, please consider like, subscribe, click that bell. It really means a lot. Feel free to also follow me on Preston_Park as I try my best to also post daily. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next one.